Day News.
We only want to alert the public. The COVID is real, and therefore protect yourself. Observe the national protocol measures to protect yourself, protect your family.
This bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. It is also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country and worldwide at myjoyonline.com. Coming up.
We grant the amendment in the 10th day. Let the amended process be found by the close of the day before 4:00 p.m. The respondents are at liberty to amend their respective answers to the petition on or before 4:00 p.m. tomorrow, Friday.
Supreme Court allows lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama the opportunity to correct mistakes in his petition. But this was not without some legal banter. We'll bring you day one of the election petition hearing. More and more legal contests as both NPP and NDC mount spirited campaigns in what could change the composition of the 8th Parliament. Details as disputed seats rise to 16 in just a week. Also coming up, Ashanti Regional Health Directorate to reactivate COVID-19 treatment and isolation centres as the region records over 100% increase in active cases of the infection in less than a month.
We intend to open other isolation centers we closed down during the peak period. So we are considering reopening Frimpong Boaten's Memorial Clinic.
More as the Ghana Health Service steps up contact tracing and public education on the observance of safety protocols across the country. Coming up later in sports.
Former IBF lightweight champion Richard Comey has an opportunity to chase his dream of reclaiming his lost world title next month. I'll tell you more in 20 minutes.
And also in the bulletin.
Onion way dear freaking me. It said one BB me and I made the best time I saw from me.
One stage, one night, three of your favorite in-house DJs and special guest appearance. It is none other than Joy FM's annual party, 90s Jam, the virtual edition. My name is Gifty Andorpia. Now, the Supreme Court has given the go-ahead to lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama the opportunity to correct mistakes in his petition. Mr. Mahama, in his petition, erroneously requests a runoff between himself and the Electoral Commission instead of Nana Akufo-Addo. Lawyers for the EC and Mr. Akufo-Addo say this request to make corrections also had a mistake in it. Mr. Mahama is in the Apex Court seeking to annul the result of the December 7 elections. We'll hear from lawyers of both sides shortly. But first, here are proceedings from the court.
Please, court. We have considered the application for you to amend the petition draft. We notice that the applicant is just seeking you to amend the petition for the apparent of the petition. We have looked at the nature of the amendment and as it does not change the nature of the petitioner's case, we grant the amendment in the 10th day. Let the amended process be found by the close of the day before 4:00 p.m. today. Yes, the respondents are at liberty to amend their respective answers to the petition on or before 4:00 p.m. tomorrow, Friday, the 15th of January 2021. The petition is thus adjourned to Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021.
As the Chief Justice there speaking, our court correspondent Joseph Akable sat through day one of the proceedings. Joseph joins me here in the studio. Joseph, let's begin with the panel hearing this case.
And so there is Chief Justice Kwesi Eni-Nyeboah, who has been a justice of the Supreme Court since June 2008. He was appointed Chief Justice on 7 January 2020. In terms of the other members, there's Justices Yawa Pew, who has been at the Supreme Court since June 2015. Marfo Saw has been at the Supreme Court since July 2018. Nene Amegacha, July 2018. Professor Kote, July 2018. Mariama Owusu, December 2019. And Gertrude Tokonu, December 2019. And so these are the 7 judges who are hearing this particular case.
Let's look at the legal teams for both the petitioner and the respondent.
And so for Mr. Mohammed's team, it's been led by Chachu Chikata and has Tony Letha on the team as well. The Electoral Commission team has Justin Amenovo and A.A. Somoa. And for President Akufo-Addo's legal team, there is Akoto Ampao, who is leading the team. Frank Davis, Kweku Esilfi, and Yao Opong make up the team for the president.
Let's now talk about what they've been saying to you so far. You've been talking to them. What do they say?
And so first has to do with their reactions to the decision of the court. There was a request that they be allowed to correct some mistakes that came from Mr. Mohammed's legal team. The president's legal team opposed it. We can take a listen to Frank Davis, a member of the team, explain why they opposed that request.
It was obvious from the outset that they had committed errors and mistakes in the petition they filed. This was said by the lead counsel himself, Chachi Chikata, that they were going to correct the mistakes. We were opposed to the application in form and substance. But as you heard the court say, we are all human beings and we make mistakes. So the court ruled that even though they had made mistakes, we will permit them to amend so that the first respondent they intended to contest with in their petition is reverted to second respondent, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic. So that was what happened. In essence, the court is telling all of us that we make mistakes. We will be kind to the errors committed by others.
In terms of the petition itself, where does that leave us? The court says 19, but we know that you have an initial objection that you are raising as well.
Well, that preliminary objection we have raised is in our answer, is embodied in our answer. So we are going to come to court on the 19th, which is Tuesday, and that'll be the pre-trial. So the court will determine the course of the petition.
So Frank Davis is a member of the president's legal team. You've also been speaking to Mr. Mohammed's legal team. Yes,
I spoke to Abraham Amaliba, and he says he found the opposition to their request to make corrections strange and insists that the Electoral Commission yet again displayed incompetence.
We inadvertently said that the runoff should be between the petitioner and the first responder, which is the EC. And so today we moved the motion this morning. There were some opposition from the EC, and you need to understand that the trademark incompetence of the EC was played out again in this court. The EC opposed the amendment on the basis that the amendment was making reference to a writ. When the face of the document that has been filed is a petition, we have attached a proposal of the amendment. So all we need to do is to go out there and file it with the Supreme Court, the registry, and that is what is to be done. So but this is something we have already done, and what is left is for us to file.
The point your colleagues on the other side made was that you made a mistake by referring to it as a writ instead of a petition.
It has been granted. But that is what I indicated to you, that this is an exhibition. No. This is an exhibition of the trademark incompetence of the EC, because what we filed was a petition and not a writ. And so for them to come up and say that we're making reference to a writ, when indeed on the face of the document was a petition, it's a clear indication of their incompetence.
So that is Abraham Amaliba, who is also a member of the legal team for Mr. Mahama. So far, there hasn't been any contest as far as the composition of this panel.
No issues have been raised as it stands.
All right. What happens next, Joseph?
And so first, Mr. Mohammed's legal team, they have up until 4 p.m. today to file the amended petition. Then the respondents, the EC and Mr. Akufo-Addo, if they are minded to also amend their responses because of the changes that Mr. Mahama has made, they can also do so by Friday, close of day Friday at 4 p.m. And so we come back on Tuesday, the 19th of January, for the case to continue.
And we'll certainly be here to give you all the updates. Joseph, thank you. Joseph Akablé is our court correspondent there. We'll call it history repeating itself. The 2012 election petition that challenged the legitimacy of former President John Mahama lasted for 8 months. It was 8 months of tension, 8 months of some unforgettable moments broadcast live on TV and radio. But it left many Ghanaians with some rather unforgettable quotes like, "You and I were not there. Have you seen your real size?" and more. Maxwell Agbagba looks back in this report.
Instead of trying to help build your
One of those moments was when 5 persons were hauled before the Apex Court for contempt after they made some unsavory comments about the judges. NDC member Stephen Atubiga pleaded to be forgiven when he came before the judges. Justice William Atuguba had some questions for him.
I'm just a poor boy from Binduri. I'm not from any fancy family, and I come from a very poor home, Your Honor.
So you learned the slangs from your poor family?
My lords, I've lived in the United States for 14 years, my lords.
This is what I suspect. In the United States, you know the law works irrespective of anybody.
We cannot forget former NPP General Secretary Sir John, who was also dragged before the court for contempt.
Kwajo Owusu Afriye, how do you feel? Yeah, we'll take your temperature level before. Especially my Lord, I'm humbled by this baptism of fire. We find him guilty of intentional criminal contempt of this.
Justice Atuguba also cut to size Deputy Youth Organizer of the NPP, Samia Wuku, for unpleasant comments he made about the judiciary.
We take judicial notice of the fact that Mr. Samia Wuku has been attending the proceedings of this court in this ongoing case. We think that the exclusion of Mr. Samia Wuku from attending the proceedings of this court for the rest of the duration of this case should suffice for a start in this direction. We've given you full opportunity to demonstrate how mighty you are, and we hope you've done so.
My lords,
Do you now realize your real size in this country?
Yes, my lords.
Good.
So you're not able to tell us anything.
Lawyers for the two sides, Chachuchi Kata and Philip Addison, often clashed during their arguments. Here is one memorable moment.
Submission legally. I do not need to say more than that at this stage, because these irregularities that we are finding on the face of the exhibits have a lot of significance.
Is counsel addressing the court?
And can you shut up?
I thought you're supposed to be cross-examining the witness.
And certainly you remember those. It looks like history will be repeating itself, and we'll be here to bring you all of the updates. But let's stay a little bit more on the courts, because there are more legal suits being filed by both the governing New Patriotic Party and the opposition National Democratic Congress in what could significantly change the current composition of the 8th Parliament. As it stands now, both the NDC and NPP have 137 seats. The Fomena MP, Andrew Amwako-Siama, an independent legislator, completes the House of 275 members. But fresh suits have been filed challenging the eligibility of at least some 16 members of Parliament. Manuel Kranting has more in this report.
Several suits have been filed in a number of high courts across the country to contest the eligibility of at least 16 members of Parliament. This follows concerns which arose after the Electoral Commission gazetted the results of the 2020 parliamentary elections. Both the NDC and NPP each have 8 seats being contested. The NDC, for instance, has 8 seats in the Savelegu, Pusiga, Jomoro, Asen North, Buem, Kintampo North, Banda and Krachi West constituencies being challenged, while the NPP's Techiman South, Hohoi, Tano South, Takwen Soem, Esikado Ketan, Tema West, Zabzugu and Sefirioso MPs are being challenged. These seats are being contested for various reasons. In the Hohoi and Buem constituencies, both petitions relate to the Sancho Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe and Lolobi areas. The petitioners in each of the cases contend that by Sao residents not being allowed to vote in their respective elections, the winning candidates were given an unfair advantage. So they want the court to set aside the results and order fresh elections. At Savelegu, the claim is that the NDC's Abdullahi Jacob Idris benefited from widespread irregularities. For Pusiga, there's a claim of overvoting in 5 electoral areas, with the petitioner alleging it went in favor of the NDC's Ladi Ayamba.
Manuel Quanting's report there. We'll bring you the fuller version of that report in our subsequent bulletins. But away from the courts, let's turn our attention on education, because teachers and education workers union strike is still in force, although it reached an agreement with government after a consultative meeting Wednesday. The TEWU leadership signed an agreement with government to work on their grievances of risk and non-basic allowances and promotion. According to a statement released by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, key issues were resolved in principle pending further consultations with relevant stakeholders on both sides. Yet, another communique intercepted by Joy News summarizes the three key agreements by both parties. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson has a copy of the communique and he joins me in studio. Parker, what does the communique say?
Right, so Gifty, the meeting was between the Employment and Labour Relations, the Finance Ministry, Education Ministry, Fair Wages and Salary Commission, and also the TEWU leadership. Now, there is three critical issues: risk allowance, promotion, and non-basic allowance. Now, with the risk allowance, the communique states that a job re-evaluation will be conducted for members of TEWU who are exposed to eminent hazards. Now, on the issue of promotion, it says the Secretariat of Vice Chancellors Ghana should convene a meeting of Directors of Human Resources with the leadership of TEWU by Friday, 15 January 2020, that is tomorrow. That in furtherance of this agreement, the Secretariat of VCG should make available to the leadership of TEWU relevant documents relating to the issue before Friday. And finally, on the issue of non-basic allowance, the communique states that consultations would be held with the government on certificate of agency and the outcome conveyed to TEWU as soon as possible. And this is signed by the Acting Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, that is Ignatius Bafwewa, and the National Chairman of TEWU as well, one Mr. Ambrose there.
So highlights of the communique there for you. However, these agreements do not necessarily end the strike. According to the TEWU General Secretary, Mark Cranche, that decision will be made after consultations with local leaders. Listen.
We put our issues on the table. The issues were thoroughly discussed. Certain actions have to be made. The people at the table do not have the necessary mandate to make any pronouncement. So what was said was that let's allow both parties, that is the union and the government side, to do the necessary consultation between today and tomorrow. By close of day tomorrow, there should be a public declaration after we have met and agreed on what the consultations have resulted in. So we will come back with our decision tomorrow, God willing.
That is the TEWU General Secretary, Mark Denchura Kwanche. Let's now go to our correspondent who we have placed at major public universities to give us an update of the situation there. I'm starting with Kweku Asante. Kweku, where are you and what is the latest?
Okay, I'm at the University of Ghana at the moment where TEWU members are still on strike. And so what is going on is that most of the posts that are visited so far has no TEWU member at post or working. And so the students themselves have taken over. If you come to the Alexander Edum Compound and Hillel Liman Hall in the University of Ghana, where I am right now, the student leaders have taken over the Porter's Lodge post. And the Porter's Lodge are the hall assistants who hand out keys and other needs of students in the various halls. And so the student leaders have taken over that responsibility and they are doing it as it were so that the university's process will be able to move on seamlessly until TEWU members return. The same apply in Mensa Sabah Hall where the students have taken over these posts and working. But the security services on campus as well as the hospital staff are still working because according to TEWU, these are essential services where although they have real challenges that they want the universities and government to fix, they think that these services must continue to operate.
Kweku, thank you. Kweku Asante there from the University of Ghana. Let's go to the University of Cape Coast where Richard Kojo Nyako, our Central Region correspondent, is standing by. Richard, what can you report from your end?
Also, the impact of the TEWU strike is beginning to show on the University of Cape Coast campus. The campus is beginning to get dirty. You see paper bags, you see leaves from trees and other papers on the street. But in the halls that I've visited, the Kessleyford Hall, Valco Hall, and Nkrumah Hall, the interim student leadership have also taken over the Potter's Lodge position and their duties. But the cleaning and the other things, the WC and the other washrooms, they are being done by the students themselves. So we don't know when and how they are going to do that. So it is tomorrow from there and the subsequent ones that we are going to know whether the impact is going to tell very high on them.
Richard, thank you. Richard Kojonyako there. Let's head now to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Prince Apia is our man on the ground. Prince. Hello, Prince.
Gifty. Here at the KNUST campus, it's as though the strike is yet to gather momentum because those in essential services, like those in charge of the laundry and cleaning of the halls, are still at schools, in the hospitals are still at schools, and the security persons are also working. So over here, it is difficult to feel the impact of the strike. I should also say that registration that started over the weekend is still ongoing, and still also helping with the situation.
Prince Apia there, coming to us live from the KNUST. So we've been to the University of Ghana, KNUST, and the University of Cape Coast with the situation there. Chants from old and new residents of Commonwealth Hall at the University of Ghana as they protest the continuous delay in the construction of the Commonwealth Hall Annex project. The facility, estimated at $42 million, is expected to deliver a fully furnished 4,660-bed capacity building. Some lecturers and senior staff at the university have written to the Vice-Chancellor requesting further information through a special meeting of convocation on the construction of the project. Among other things, the lecturers asked why the present site for the construction was chosen, whilst adding that it will potentially destroy the, quote, unique architecture, unquote, of the university. But some old students of the hall have described the reasons by the lecturers seeking to halt the construction as frivolous and baseless. Some of them spoke to Joy News.
Actually, it doesn't even rationale with anyone who understands the accommodation deficit on campus. Perhaps if Commonwealth is not building a nest and you are to put up an infrastructure facility elsewhere on campus, definitely you are going to fall trees to enable you.
It doesn't make sense. It is a witch hunt out there. It is just a scheme out there, agenda out there to halt the whole process. Nothing aside that. That is just what it is.
So far, they've stated environmental reasons. That's one. That they will be cutting down trees and it will go against environmental, But then I wonder if these people are really committed to this thing. Most of these people making these arguments drive cars that are not even environmentally friendly. But it comes to accommodation issue on the University of Ghana campus, and you are telling us that environmental issues. I understand that it is very important and must be considered. But look around the Commonwealth Hall. How many trees are here? As against the number of trees that will be left at the end of this construction. There is still environmental considerations. Myself, I've been part of the VC's Green Project, and we've planted trees on this campus. Tens of thousands, and they are growing. So this Vice-Chancellor has already made consideration for those things.
So those are some old students of Commonwealth Hall there. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Also live on Love 99.5 FM across the world at myjoyonline.com with me, Gifty and Apia. Stories done so far. Supreme Court allows lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama the opportunity to correct mistakes in his petition. Still to come, Ashanti Regional Health Directorate to reactivate COVID-19 treatment and isolation centers as the region records over 100% increase in active cases of the infection in less than a month.
We intend to open other isolation centers we closed down during the peak period. So we are considering reopening Frimpong Boaten's Memorial Clinic
Also coming up, one stage, one night, 3 of your favorite in-house DJs and a special guest appearance. It is none other than Joy FM's annual party, 90s Jam. The venue.
Jeba, onyum way dear freaking me. Miti say wanna be me, and I made the best of myself from me.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the eastern region, we're on K Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the upper east region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrots FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And you're welcome back to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're across the world at myjoyonline.com. And George Addo Jr., what's in sports?
Yeah, there's so much coming up, but I'm hoping that we will enjoy 90s Jam. And I'll be doing that with you.
Certainly.
We'll be dancing together. Won't be
Of
bad
course.
at all.
You just have to gather a few of your friends.
Yeah.
Gather a few of your friends and that's it.
Okay, well, I don't fuck is protesting. I'm not too sure. But you know what? It's good. It's good. My story is boxing anyway, so you can get yourselves ready on that. Former IBF lightweight champion Richard Comey will begin his journey to redemption with a bout in the US next month. My colleague Nathaniel Atta has more.
So the bout is set for February 13 at the MGM Grand in Nevada. Now, Comey's opponent, Jackson Martinez, is from the Dominican Republic and is 30 years of age. He has a record of 19 wins, 1 loss, and 7 of the wins have come by way of knockout. Now, he has the orthodox stance, just like Comey, and is ranked number 5 on the WBA rankings, behind the likes of Gervonta Davis, Jorge Linares, Robert Easter Jr., whom Comey lost to in his first attempt for the world title, and of course, good old Vasyl Lomachenko. So Comey is coming to the table as a former world champion with his record of 29 wins and 3 losses. 26 of the wins have come by way of knockout. Currently, Comey is based in Bronx, New York, and is getting himself ready for this bout, which will define his return journey to world championship status.
Well, that's Nathaniel Atto there. And of course, that's about it for the sport. Just to tell you that there's Arsenal versus Crystal Palace and a big chance to see Thomas Partey, who got injured last year, back with the team. Will be great to do that.
Can't wait. George, thank you very much. George Addo Jr. with sports there. Let's take you to the Ashanti region, which has recorded over 100% increase in active COVID-19 cases in less than a month. Health authorities there say active cases rose to 79 from 18 cases recorded before the Christmas festivities, with 7 in critical condition. Ashanti Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Imano Tinkran, says both treatment and testing centers are being expanded in the wake of the increasing cases.
We intend to open other isolation centers we closed down during the peak period. So we are considering reopening Frimpong Boaten's Memorial Clinic, which will serve for both isolation and then treatment of mild cases. But so far, Kofanochi is admitting cases, and then Kumasi South is also admitting cases. So the cases are going up. Before the Christmas, the cases were down. We had only 18 active cases.
You had the Ashanti Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Imano Tinkram, there. Elsewhere, over 17 million Ugandans are today going to the polls to decide whether or not the country's current leader, Yoweri Museveni, will be retained as president, having ruled for 35 years. The heated race for the Ugandan top job has been marred by serious violence, the killing of dozens and multiple arrests of the main contender, who is a 38-year-old pop star, Robert Robert Kangulani. Robert, who is also known as Bobby Wine, says he represents the younger generation, which makes up about 75% of the country's population, while Yoweri Museveni, 76, says he is standing for stability. Bobby Wine has been calling on his supporters to come out and vote.
Our voice in unison and agreeing that indeed it is time for Uganda to have change. We are therefore adding our voices together to call upon all of you fellow Ugandans to turn up in large numbers and vote. By now, all voters have made up their mind. By now, we know all voters know who they want to vote for. But most importantly, we are convinced that all voters in Uganda would want a better Uganda, a peacefully changing Uganda. Therefore, we call upon all of you fellow Ugandans to turn up and vote. Please communicate this message to everybody you know and help those that cannot carry themselves to.
And that's about that's Bobby Wine actually urging the youth in Uganda to go out and vote. We'll be monitoring that one as well. It's time for entertainment. Listen to this.
Angelina Cometo, Macarena ni mapuka, she go be, Angelina Kuto, Muna Beshede Mumayenda, Minkuama Kumalenda, Eneana Judia Pine.
Mapitso, you're here in the studio. We're just a day from the Joy FM 90s Jam, but this time we're doing it differently.
We're doing it differently because it's the virtual edition. Sammy Fossen, Andy Dosty, and DJ Black will be turning the tables back into the 90s and early 2000s this Friday, which is tomorrow, January 15th. The virtual event will be held in the studios of Joy FM, for where it will be streamed live on Hits FM, 103.9 FM, Joy Prime, My Joy Online, and all our social media platforms. So join in from the comfort of your homes. Join us via Zoom. We'll be asking you guys to join us via Zoom to jam with us from your comfort of your homes, because this is Joy FM's 90s Jam,
of course,
the virtual edition.
That makes Mapitso so excited.
Yes,
and we'd love to see people dancing on their Zoom as well, won't we? All right, Mapitso, thank you very much. This is the Midday News, our top story this hour. Supreme Court allows lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama the opportunity to correct mistakes in his petition. There is more news at myjoyonline.com. My name is Gifty Andopia.
Semia, Nyawa, yeah,